بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today I would like to share with you a poem which was written by one of the famous shu'ara poets of Al-Maghreb, Morocco. This poem is known as Al-Shamaqmaqiyya. It was written by the famous sha'ir Ibn Al-Wanan Al-Fassi rahimahullah. Ibn Al-Wanan Al-Fassi was a well-known poet. His father was a well-known poet in Maghreb. He was a very good friend of the Sultan Sidi Muhammad ibn Abdullah Al-Alawi rahimahullah. His father was well-renowned for his Arabic language, his literature and his poetry, to the extent that the Sultan gave him the nickname Abu Shamaqmaq. Abu Shamaqmaq was originally a poet from Iraq, from the city of Kufa. Ibn Al-Wanan Al-Fassi rahimahullah was born in the city of Fez. His name is Abu Al-Abbas Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Al-Wanan Al-Himyari Al-Muluki Al-Twati Al-Fassi rahimahullah. This poem Al-Shamaqmaqiyya mentions a number of themes. It talks about the importance of poetry. It talks about the importance of seeking knowledge. It also talks about self-development of one's character, history, and so on and so forth. Ibn Al-Wanan Al-Fassi rahimahullah wrote this poem for the Sultan Sidi Muhammad ibn Abdullah Al-Alawi rahimahullah after his father had passed away. Ibn Al-Wanan's family were pushed out from the presence of the Sultan by those who were around him. So Ibn Al-Wanan Al-Fassi rahimahullah unfortunately was not able to gain access to the Sultan. So one day he heard that the Sultan was passing through the city, and he made his way towards the Sultan, and he began to recite a number of lines which were Ya Sayyidi Sibtan Nabi Abu Shamaqmaqi Abi. So the Sultan Sidi Muhammad ibn Abdullah Al-Alawi rahimahullah, when he heard these lines, he said, bring this person to me. And Ibn Al-Wanan was brought to the Sultan, and the Sultan recognized him, and then this is where he recited this famous poem Al-Shamaqmaqiyya. So unfortunately I will not be able to go through each and every line. However, there are a number of lines from this shi'r which I have picked out, which are very beautiful, very beneficial. From amongst these abiyat is the line in which he talks about the importance and the value of shi'r, poetry. He says, لو لم يكن للشعر عند من مضى فضل على الكعبة لم يعلق. He says that if poetry had not been held in high esteem by those who came before, it would not have been hung on the Kaaba. لو لم يكن للشعر عند من مضى فضل على الكعبة لم يعلق. And we know prior to Islam, the Arabs would hang poems on the Kaaba, and these were known as Al-Mu'allaqatu Sab', the 7 hanging or 7 suspended odes. And these poems, they spoke about a number of themes such as love, courage, valor, war, and so on and so forth. Ibn Al-Wanan Al-Fassi rahimahullah, he also talks about the importance of studying and seeking Islamic knowledge. He says, وَخُصَّ عِلْمَ الْفِقْهِ بِالدَّرْسِ وَكُنْ كالليث أو كأشهب والعتق وفي الحديث النبوي إن لم تكن مثل البخاري فكن كالبيهقي. He says, devote the study to the science of jurisprudence, al-fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence. وكن كالليث أو كأشهب والعتق. And be like Al-Layth. Al-Layth was the famous faqih, jurist from Egypt, Al-Layth ibn Sa'd al-Misri rahimahullah. أو كأشهب. Ashhab was one of the students of Imam Malik. Wal-Utaqi. And likewise, Al-Utaqi here is Abdul Rahman ibn al-Qasim Al-Utaqi, who was another one of Imam Malik's students. And he says, وَفِي الْحَدِيثِ النَّبَوِ إِن لَمْ تَكُنْ مِثْلَ الْبُخَارِ فَكُنْ كَالْبَيْهَقِ. And as for the study of hadith, then be like Al-Bukhari, Al-Imam Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Ismail Al-Bukhari rahimahullah, Amir al-Mu'minin in hadith. But if you cannot be like Al-Imam Al-Bukhari, then be like Al-Imam Al-Bayhaqi rahimahullah. So we can see here Ibn Al-Wanan rahimahullah, his encouragement of seeking and studying al-ilm al-shar'i. Likewise, another beautiful line which I've picked out from his Al-Shamaqmaqiyya, in which he talks about one's character and manners. He says, وَعَاشِرِ النَّاسَ بِحُسْنِ خُلُقٍ تُحْمَدْ عَلَيْهِ زَمَنَ التَّفَرُّقِ. He says, associate with people with good character, for which you will be praised in times of separation. Meaning that a person should always strive to be good in character. Why? Because it is good for oneself as well as for those who are around you. And when you are no longer around, this is something which you will be remembered for. This poem, Ash-Shamaqmaqiyya, another distinct feature of this poem is that it ends with the harful qaf, the letter qaf. So for example, in the beginning he says, مهلا على رسلك حاد الأينق ولا تكلفها بما لم تطق فطالما كلفتها وسقتها سوق فتى من حالها لم يشفق, and so on and so forth. This poem has been explained by many ulama, many scholars. However, there are a number of explanations of this poem which have been printed. From amongst these explanations is a sharh done by the famous historian, the famous mu'arrikh of Al-Maghreb, Ahmad ibn Khalid al-Nasiri rahimahullah, and it's called Zahrul Afnan min Hadiqat ibn Al-Wanan. Likewise, another explanation which has been done by the famous Shaykh al-Allam al-Faqih al-Adib Abdullah Gunnoon rahimahullah, and it's a brief explanation of Ash-Shamaqmaqiyya. However, he does go into detail with regards to each line, each bait. So for anyone who is interested in poetry, I would strongly recommend Ash-Shamaqmaqiyya by Ibn Al-Wanan Al-Fassi, due to its richness in language as well as the information and knowledge which it contains from history, from Islamic knowledge, and as well as the importance of ash-shi'r and character development. بارك الله فيكم وجزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.